So what are the actual 3 keys? Well, the first key is you are not your thoughts. Now this is a big realization to actually have. So not just understanding it from a theory point of view, which I think a lot of us have, but actually really having the shift within ourselves to recognize that, wow, this thought I'm having is actually just a thought. Because if I am aware of it, that must mean that I am not that thought. That's not actually who I am. Now, if you're a bit confused by that, really simple. If I were to ask you, are you this little, bit of nature? You'd say, nope, no, definitely I'm not that. And then if I point to this and say, are you this little twig? You'd say, no, I don't understand why she's going on about this. So if I were to ask you and keep pointing to all these different things and ask you, are you this, are you this, are you this? You'd say, no, I am that which is aware of it. Well, it's the same with your thoughts, which I'm sure you've had that ability to catch yourself thinking. If you've ever had even something like this come out of your mouth of, oh, sorry, I was just thinking, or wow, I'm just thinking so much about this problem, you are aware of yourself thinking, which means those thoughts are not you. They are just like clouds, consistently changing, the weather consistently changing, and as you know, your thoughts consistently change, and that is not actually who you are. And this realization is a really powerful one because it's actually the fusion with our thoughts, being identified with our thoughts, that actually cause us the most suffering. So when we can have the experience, the shift, this actually is where our freedom lies. In that recognition that, oh, this is just another thing I'm actually aware of. And of course, there's a lot of layers to unpack with it when you start to see that, which is what I explore in Module 1. But this is the core, the beginning of the journey that leads you into feeling more and more freedom. Now, the second part, the second key, the second module is, well, if I am not my thoughts, who am I? Good question to have. And of course, this is the heart of all spiritual traditions. And the answer to that is, well, you are awareness. You are pure consciousness. That is actually who you are. But again, a lot of us, we may have heard that, we might have, read about it, understand it on an intellectual level, or know different ways of expressing that. But do we actually live from that place? And can we live from that place? And of course, the answer is yes, because that's what all spiritual traditions point us to. And that's actually where the freedom lies, in the ability to actually live from the seat of who you really are, from the seat of awareness, which is actually very spacious and open like the blue sky. And when we live from this space of openness and clarity like the blue sky, we of course don't get taken over by all the different things of our habitual patterns. And this leads me to the third key, which is it's all about our relationship to what arises. Now this is the one I often get people go, what does that actually mean? Well, when we actually come out of the fusion with our thoughts, which we're often in, completely identified thinking and being completely not aware that we're thinking, we're just the thought. Well, when we, through the practice of meditation, come out of that fusion to recognize that these are just thoughts, we actually start to see that we have a relationship with these thoughts. We have a relationship with the sensations. And that relationship is often a relationship of resistance, that like, this isn't okay, or I'm not wanting this, or it's a relationship of attachment, grasping and clinging. And both those relationships actually is what cause us unnecessary suffering. So first we have to see that we have a relationship, and that's actually what's playing out in the outside world. It starts on the inside, which is why happiness is an inside job. I love that title, because it starts by recognizing that this is occurring on the inside. And when we can start to see it, we then have the power to change it. And this is where the practices of compassion and wisdom come from, because that's when we start to recognize why we have these particular relationships and how we can change them to bring about more compassion and right view, as they call it in Buddhism. The wisdom to actually recognize, is this a good way of relating and a helpful way of relating? Or is this actually not so helpful in this present moment? And actually from this spaciousness we create in our practice, which of course we're creating within ourselves, we then have the ability to actually choose how we actually look at the situation. We can now reorient ourselves to a different perspective. And that's actually where our freedom lies, in the ability to shift our perception. Our ability to actually control the situations on the outside is very limited. We do, of course, have influence, but where our actual control lies is how we're actually viewing the situation. What is our relationship to it? And can we bring a more harmonious way of relating, which is actually what will bring about the freedom that we're wanting, the feelings of happiness, peace that we're actually seeking. So that's what the 3 keys are all about. These are the 3 core teachings of all spiritual traditions. And it's been amazing for me to actually see it more and more as I read the next book or the next meditation and spiritual book. And I'm like, there it is again. It's firstly recognizing that you are not your thoughts. Then it's about recognizing who you really are. And then it's about recognizing on a daily basis, wow, I have a relationship with this in this particular way. Can I actually change that? And there are practices to actually help you be able to see all of this more clear, because that's actually what helps you to then be able to transform it, to change it. And then there are practices to do for that. So that's what we're going to be exploring in the 3 keys. I hope you can join me.